Hello, welcome back to my channel and thank you for stopping by if you are just coming across my video for the first time. So we are making this beautiful dress with a side gathers and a stylish v neckline together in this video. So if this is what you're interested in, as you can see the outcome of this tutorial on the right side of the screen, and on the left side is the inspiration of this dress. So if this is what you're interested in, you might want to stay to the end of this video. So let's get right into it. So I have these 2.5 yards of plain crepe fabric that I have at home. So if you want to get yours, you can get about 3 yards maximum. It's okay. So we'll be drafting on our pattern paper, and the full length of this pattern paper is 40 inches. So I'm just going to use the full length. So by the time we're transferring to the main fabric, we're going to add the remaining length. So this is it. Now we're drafting the front pattern first. So from the shoulder, that's the starting point, I came down by 10 inches for my bust point. Then I came down by 16.5 inches, that is my waistline. And then from that waistline, I came down by 8 inches, and that is my hip line. So now I'm just going to extend the whole lines like so. So on the shoulder, I'm marking my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then from that point I came down by 1 inch. So on the shoulder again, I marked my neck width, which is 3 inches, and from that neck width I marked my neck depth, which is 3 inches as well. And then I'm going to use my French curve to draw my neckline. So from that 1 inch I came down by, I'm going to mark my armhole depth. So that is it, and I'm extending the line like so. And then I'm also going to extend the line sideways, that is the chest line. So on that chest line, I'm going to mark my bust measurement divided by 4, and then I added 1.5 inch for my sewing allowance. So from that point, I'm going to mark outwards 2 inches. You know, this dress is going to have something like a little cut together sleeve, just a little extension of the shoulder to form a small sleeve. So I'm just going to use my ruler to connect from the neck area to that point where I went out like this. And then I'm also going to place my curve like this. Can you see? Just pay attention to how I'm doing it, and then I'm going to draw the new armhole like this. Can you see it? I hope you understand it. So the armhole area is going to come out that way. So on the waistline, I'm going to mark my waist measurement divided by 4, and then I'm adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance, and then I added 1 extra inch for my dart allowance. So on the hip line, I'm marking my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. So on the hem of this paper as well, I'm marking the same measurement as the hip divided by 4 and 1.5 inch sewing allowance. So I'm just going to use my ruler to connect like this from the hem to the hip first, and then I'm going to connect in a curved way from the waist to the hip like so, and then I'm also going to connect from the waist to the bust point or the chest. So remember, we added 1.5 inch sewing allowance, so I'm just going to mark it on the waistline like this inward. So it is from that place we are going to start drawing our curve. So on the hip line, I went in by 3.5 inches, and then on the hem I went in by 3.5 inches as well. So I marked it across like this. So now let's draw our side gathers curve. So this is how we're going to do it, starting from after the 1.5 inch allowance. As you can see where I started drawing the curve from. So I'm just going to follow all those points I marked like so, all the way to the hem. I hope you can see the way I did it. So that's how we're going to do it. So now let's do our dart. From the bust point, I came down by 2 inches. On that point, I marked my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 4 inches for me. And then I marked the same thing on the waistline. And then I'm going to trace the 4 inches to wherever it meets our curve. Like I want that to end on the curve. Can you see it? So I marked that 4 inches on the curve. So I'm just going to connect everything in a straight line. I'm making sure the dart is ending on my curve. It's not a must to do it that way, but I just want it to be that way. So on the waistline, I went in and out by 0.5 inch, and then I'm going to connect in a slant manner like this. As you can see, upward and downwards. Can you see? So that is how we're going to sew our dart intake. So for the neckline, it's a kind of a stylish v neckline. So on that point, I went in by 1.5 inches, as you can see, and then I came down by 4 inches. So this measurement depends totally on how deep you want your neckline to be. So I'm just going to connect with a straight line like you see me doing. So at first I marked a straight line like this. Please just pay attention to what I'm doing. At first I marked a straight line like this, but later on I'm going to use a different method, so that straight line would no longer matter. So I placed my French curve like this. Can you see? I used the curviest part. So I'm just going to use my marker to just draw it this way. So you get it very well when I'm cutting it out. So let's cut it out now. So when I get to that neck area, you're going to see the way I'll cut it. You see where I'll cut, but I'm not cutting it yet until we draft the back pattern. So let's leave the neck and let's just cut the rest. So now I want to slash the side part, as you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and slash it like this. So I'm just using my ruler to draw a straight line randomly, and though I gave it an equal spacing, like everything I did was equal even if it was random. So I'm just going to go ahead and divide everything till the other end. So now I'm going to number it like this so we can easily recognize and arrange them when we are spreading it. So that side is the mid part and this is the side part. So like this, it will be easy to recognize. So now I'm just cutting everything out like this. So this is everything after cutting it out, as you can see. So I'm gonna have to place the front pattern on the folded fabric like this. As you can see, I'm gonna use my pin to hold it down. So remember, the length of the pattern paper is 40 inches, but I want my gown to be 45 inches. So I'm going to add 5 inches plus 2 more inches for sewing allowance. That's 7 inches. So I'm adding 7 inches to the hem like this, and on that point I marked 4 inches inward like this, and I'm going to connect it in a straight line like this, as you can see. So I'm connecting everything in a straight line. So that's all, and we're going to cut it out now. We have added all the allowance, so we're just cutting it out directly. So I've also gone ahead to cut out the back pattern, as you can see, and the only difference is just I added 1.5 inch zipper allowance. That is the only difference. Can you see it? I also added the same 7 inches at the hem, at the lower part. Can you see? Just that I added 1.5 inch for zipper allowance. So for the back neckline, I came down by 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to draw my back neckline with my French curve like so, because the back neckline is higher and different from the front. So I extended the waistline on the back pattern and I went in by 0.75 like so, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect it in a slant manner, upwards and downwards as well. Remember, this is what we always do to prevent zip bulge. So now I'm just going to cut out all that part like so. And that's all for the back pattern. So for the front neckline, can you see where I'm cutting? So that is our neckline. That is where we need. So now I'm just going to cut it on the fabric as well. So I have picked up my remaining fabric, everything I have left, and I folded it into two like this. Altogether I have about 23 inches on fold, and when not on fold is about 46 inches, and this is it. So the next thing we want to do is to pick the middle part of our slashed piece, and the longest part is number 5, which is about 23.5 inches long. So I'm just going to mark 24.5 inches. That means I added 1 inch extra. So I'm going to mark that 24.5 inches all across the fabric like this, and then I'm going to connect the whole points in a straight line like this. This is to guide us when placing our pieces, so it's going to be equal at the hem, because our gown is equal at the hem. So on the folded part, I'm putting number 8. Can you see? This is the folded part. I'm putting number 8 first, starting from the line I drew across. Can you see? And then I'm using my pin to hold it down. So I'm going to give spacing of about 1.75 inches or 2 inches thereabout, depending on how wide your fabric is. So that is the next one, number 7. So don't forget the folded part, we have number 8, because number 8 is the side and there's no joining at the side. So I'm just going to arrange everything like this with 2 inches interval in between, starting from that line. That's going to serve as a guide to make the hem equal. So I'm going to do everything till I get to number 1. So I'm gonna to spread out everything on our fabric like so. So we're going to add 7 inches to the hem of this as well, just like we added for the front and back pattern. And then I'm going to go ahead and trace the upper part out like this, leaving about ½ inch upward for sewing allowance. Please just trace it out how I'm doing it. Can you see that I did not go down? I just trace it straight at the folded part. So now I'm just cutting it out now. So we need 2 of this, one for each side, and our leftover fabric is not enough. Can you see it's about 1½ inches short? So I'm just going to cut out the excess part. So because of that, I'm going to cut out 1½ inch away from all our pattern, the front and the back pattern, so they can be equal again. So I'm going to cut it out like so. I've also gone to cut out the facing. Can you see, for the front and the back pieces? I make sure I traced out the neckline neatly. Can you see? So I'm just going to cut open the back into 2 like this. That is the back. So now let's pick the front pattern. Open it up like this to the right side, and then place your facing on the right side like this. Make sure it is equal, and then we're going to stitch on the neckline with about ½ inch, following how I'm demonstrating. Can you see? We're going to stitch it round like that. So for the back pattern as well, we're going to open it up to the right side and then place your facing on it, and then I'm going to stitch the neck area, and you can stitch the zipper area as well. It's not very compulsory. I'm going to do that for both back. Can you see? This is the front. I'm going to stitch it. Can you see? And I've ironed it a little bit. We're going to use gum to hold all that facing in place as time goes on. I've also gone to stitch my dart. Can you see? I showed you how to mark your dart on the pattern paper. So that's how you're going to stitch it for both the front and the back pattern. So now let's place the front and back pattern right side facing right side like this, and we want to join the shoulder. So open it up like this. Can you see? Let them face each other like this, the both joining parts, and then you fold it this way. Can you see? And then you are going to go ahead and stitch it with about ½ inch all through like this. So we're going to do the same thing for the second shoulder as well. Open it up like this. Can you see? Make the joining touch each other like that, and then fold and then stitch as well. After doing that, I'm also going to join the side with my allowance. So we're going to join the side like this, and also the second side as well. So this is what our dress looks like after stitching the shoulder and the sides. Can you see? So now let's pick the fabric for the side gathers. I've gone ahead to notch the mid part, the midpoint. So I'm going to run a loose stitch on the edge like this from one end to the other. I'm also going to do the same thing for the second side. I'll run a loose stitch. You won't make it very tight. So this is what it looks like. Can you see? The stitch is very loose, so we're going to use it to form our gathers. So just draw one part of the thread like this, the part that is willing to cooperate. So you drag it gently. This video is sped up, so don't think I'm dragging it with force. So just drag it gently and form your gathers. So on the dress, I want the gathers to stop immediately after the darts. Can you see? So I'm marking the point where I want the gathers to stop. So this is the gathered part. Can you see? I've gone ahead to gather it equally. And this is, I'm looking for the notched part. So this is it. That is where I notched. That's the middle part. So I'm just going to open up my dress like this to the mid part of the side. And then I'm going to place the notched part on it, right side facing right side, and then I'm using my pin to hold it down like this. Can you see? So can you see that point where I want the gathers to stop, where I marked? So that's where the gathers will stop. So I want to make sure the hem is equal, so you place it equally like this, right side facing right side. So we're going to start stitching from that hem. So we're going to stitch with about ½ inch upwards. Can you see? Just like I'm demonstrating, upwards all around. Can you see where the gather stopped, where I marked? Make sure you place it. You can use your pin to hold it if your hand is not so steady, and make sure you arrange the gather as well. Can you see the way I'm trying to arrange it so it will spread equally and evenly? So we are going to continue stitching round. Can you see? You stitch round to the other side, and then see me arranging the gathers so it will stay properly and equally, and it won't form bulge at the front. So I'm trying to pull the gathers to reach where I marked. Can you see? It was not reaching there before, so I released it a bit, so it has reached there, and I can stop there first and just go to the hem. Can you see? Make sure the hem is equal before you sew it completely. So you can just stop halfway in the middle, then go to the other hem and stitch upwards again. Can you see? Or better still, use your pin to hold it from the other hem upwards. Then you can now continue stitching from where you stopped before. You continue stitching till you get to the hem. Just do it in a way that will be convenient for you. So we are going to repeat the same process for the second side as well. So this is what our dress is looking like after stitching our gathers. Can you see? If the gathers is bulging, you can open it up and trim out the excess part. So to close the back, I put my zip on the back like this, and I came up by about 1 inch from the zipper, from where it ends, and that's where I'm going to start stitching from. Can you see? Just make sure it is equal, very equal. So from that point where I marked, I'm going to stitch all the way down with my zipper allowance. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and fix my zipper. So this is it after stitching the zipper. Can you see? So the next thing we want to do is to stitch the armhole area. So we're going to use this long piece of fabric that I cut. It is 1.5 inch wide. Can you see? Just like a bias, we're going to sew it like a bias. So I'm going to place it on the right side of my armhole and stitch around with about 0.5 inch all around it, just like the way you sew your bias. So can you see, I've gone ahead to pin it down like as if I sew it, and then I'm going to fold it inside like this. I'm going to fold it twice and stitch on it all around. Can you see? Make sure the ending, which is the armhole area, is overlapping each other so that place can be completely closed. So I'm just going to fold it twice and then stitch on it around for both armhole. And then for the hem, it's either you fold it twice like this and stitch on it all around, or you weave it anyhow you want to end. So for the belt, this is all I have left for my fabric. My fabric is no longer enough, so this is it. It is about 23 inches long. Yours can be longer if you have enough fabric. So I have for the two pieces. So that slant area is just like a style. You can leave it straight if you want. It's not a must to curve the end like this. It is not a must. So I'm just going to stitch around it with about 1/2 inch. Can you see? As demonstrated, I'm going to stitch all around. Can you see? Just like how I'm demonstrating it, to join it together. So this is what my belt is looking like after stitching and turning to the right side, and I've ironed it a bit as well. So this is the dress. I've opened up the side, and then I'm going to put it inside like this. Can you see? From the right side, I'm going to put it inside the opened side like this. Can you see? So you can let it stop on about 1/2 inch before the waist joining. Can you see? I let it stop 1/2 inch before the waist joining. Can you see? So you can use your pin to hold it down, and then you're going to stitch on it. Can you see? So you're going to do the same thing for the second side as well. I opened up the second side already as well, and then I'm going to put the belt inside like this, just like we did for the other side, and then we're going to stitch on it as well. So can you see what our armhole is looking like? The armhole area, the way I stitched it, just like the way you stitch your normal bias, and this is the neckline as well. So this is what the belt is looking like after joining, just like I showed you. So that is all for the stitching of this dress. So thank you so much for watching to the end, guys. Please do also subscribe to my channel if you have not done so, and please give this video a thumbs up. See you all in my next video. Bye.